What does it take to create a great indie game? An ambitious worker with no restraints on artistic vision or scope of time? Perhaps a well-versed team of professionals with clear goals and a decently sized budget? Or maybe it's a lot more simple. A strong passion for game development. All of these answers have one thing in common, that being the criteria for creating a good game in studio. They're all covered on one side of the spectrum, however, they are missing the most important concept on the other side. When it comes to business, it's not about how talented your team is or how many resources you have at your disposal. It's more about how the audience responds to what they are being fed. That important concept is value. What's valuable to them, and how do you know? You could simply ask, which works in some cases, but actions speak louder than words. As the famous David Ogilvy said, consumers don't think how they feel, say what they think, or do what they say. In other words, your audience won't give you a simple solution to a complex problem. It's up to you to decipher the message left by how they think, what they say, and most importantly, what they do. So let's discuss value. There are three major ways to create value. The first and most obvious is through your actual game. I am not too knowledgeable on game development or theory, so I will keep this section brief. The main area of focus here is constructing a game that solves the biggest pain point of your audience. A perfect balance between a game you enjoy working on and a game your audience will enjoy can increase your chances of a successful project. Maintaining that balance is important because not only do you want to avoid burnout, you also want to avoid burning your audience when your product is finished. Community voting and evaluation on ideas is a great way to streamline the process, but remember, actions speak louder than words. If you have no community to extract information from, you can simply research other projects of similar genre type that relates to your game and find out what the community likes and dislikes about the game, giving you a sense of what works and what doesn't. The second major way of delivering value is outside of your game. How exactly is that possible, you might ask? Your main point of interest is the game you create. If that fails, then so does your studio. That's false for many reasons. For one, you can create a lackluster or mediocre game and people will still be interested in your future products. One prime example is CD Projekt Red. They released Cyberpunk, which was a miss for a ton of people. However, I know for a fact, just because of their Witcher series, that people are going to be looking forward to their next release, even if they are getting memed on to this day. Example number 2, people care more about people than they do video games. Foster a bad company culture and you will receive the same with your fans. Delivering value outside of your game may seem troublesome or costly, and I'm here to tell you it's not. A pretty straightforward thing you can do is create a source of content outside of your game. The most common being newsletters or articles containing updates of your game or studio, or a simple YouTube or Discord channel. Some form of keeping the audience engaged before, during, and after release of your games. Those are very obvious ways which can be scaled and easily managed with a bit of extra time and effort. But what about other things? Other things that people don't or refuse to do no matter how big they are. That is where the true advantage lies. When was the last time a studio sent you a personalized gift through the mail? Most likely never. Just imagine, your favorite studio sends you a plushie or a card or something related to that of your favorite game. Think of the impact that would have not only on you as a person, but the studio. Don't have the funds for gifts? That's perfectly fine. Schedule free events, live streams, or shows, anything to get the community hyped about your projects and studio. Providing value outside of your game requires a good strategy. Implementing this step requires you to know your customer and the limits of your business. Moving on to the third and final way of creating value, and this is probably the most difficult yet fruitful, and this is making the consumer more valuable themselves. Let's begin with the actual game. How can you make a consumer more valuable with your game? The easy answer would be to create a game that teaches them a marketable skill they could use in their daily lives, but that's highly unlikely and doesn't really seem very interesting. So here are 3 things that you can keep in mind. Number 1 is to communicate social issues through a story in a constructive and thought-provoking manner. Number 2 is inspire others through design, which is sort of by default and requires a little extra effort to highlight. And number 3 is to encourage interaction between others to build relationships, which can also be done by default, but also amplified if focused on heavily. One thing to make note of regarding the last point is creating value doesn't mean the person becomes more valuable. With all that being said, I hope you enjoyed. If you have any questions about value, leave them down below in the comments. If you are interested in knowing how to stand out amongst others in your space, check out this video here. All in all, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.